Hello everybody, welcome back to the engine house. I am your host, of course, Gandy Dancer, and we're back to working on this little, this is the furnace room of Hansel and Gretel's confectionaries. So we're going to do some more on it, and in the middle of all this, my wife is making banana bread. So the kitchen's right over there. You're going to hear her in there, of course, doing her thing. And when she needs to use the blender, of course, I'll be cutting out so she can do that, so we're not having blender noises over the top of this. I need my own studio. But in the meantime, this is what we have. We're going to go ahead and do some more on this. I'm going to weather it up a little bit. I'm going to paint the windows. I have to make a door out of something. I don't know what yet. And we'll be putting some plastic here as a window. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Shop Kitty is wandering around. The dogs will probably be in and out, of course, as usual. So let's go ahead and get going here. I'll move the camera where I need it, so you can see what I'm doing. We'll go from there. Okay. Well, the wife is over there getting her preparations going. We'll go ahead and do a little more work on this. Now, I said last time I was going to go ahead and take some black paint and dirty this up a bit. So let's go, actually, let's not start with that. Let us start with the windows and doors here. I'm going to put on a little gray. This is just regular gray. This is Craft Smart paint. Again, a lot of these paints I picked up at Michael's back when I lived in Idaho. And there is no Michael's here, short of going all the way to Augusta or Bangor. So a lot of my paints are going to have to start being ordered online. And you'll hear the wife over there trying desperately to be quiet. I don't think it's going to happen. But it's going to be banana bread in the end. So we're not going to complain. So let's go ahead and take some of this. We'll start with the door. I want it to look weathered. So I'm not looking for complete coverage on this. That's why you'll see I'm not really caring much about. It's going to be gone over with a few different paints or a color that I decide. I want it to mostly look like the weathered wood is showing through on some of this. So we don't need it to be perfect. We just need it to be there. When I shot this with spray paint, of course, it got the gray, it got the white, and it really doesn't look all that weathered to me. So I'm just using regular gray. If you want it to look more weathered, you can use, there's probably a dozen different types of gray. I think I have slate gray, dove gray, I've got deep gray, dark gray. I've got just about any kind of gray you could want, paint-wise. For modeling anyway. So it's up to you how you want to do it. And I am going to weather the inside of this door frame as well. There we are. And then these windows, this window and the door frame, I made with balsa wood. And I didn't have any small strips, so I had to make my own out of what I had on hand. They're not 100% perfect like you'd expect, but at a distance they look pretty good actually, so you know, I'm content with them just the way they are. Okay, I'm going to call that good, and I'm going to dip the paint, let it soak, and then a handy dandy hair dryer works great at heating these up and drying them fast. That way I'm not having to sit around for an hour or so waiting for these to dry. Okay, something I'd like to mention here too, if you're gonna say you want a metal door frame and a metal door and a metal window frame, then you can paint them up and rust them. These I'm calling wood. This is an older building, so it's a wood frame, and so I'm painting, and it's going to be weathered, and partial paint is going to be, well, come on up, Shop Kitty. Here we go. Here's Shop Kitty right here. Hello. Are you coming up to see how things are going? Now I haven't really decided what color. I have a deep burgundy, I have wine, and I have burgundy. Out of the three of these, I think I'm going to go with just the burgundy. So we're going to try that. The nice thing is, if I don't like it, I can paint over it with something else. If you watch some of Jason Jensen's earlier videos where he weathers things, he will go from light to dark on the paint with similar colors, and it will help with the weathering process on it. So if I go with this and I don't like it, I can go darker and darker. I have this is lighter, and if I do this, you can kind of see which one is, there we go, that's a little light, dark, and darker. These two actually are pretty close to the same, so I can use two, I can use all three, or I can use just the one. So we're going to try it with just the one and see what it looks like. And I said in the last video I liked these for the fact that once I shook them up, I had paint in the cap. I can use this instead of having to waste paint, because I always end up putting too much paint on the palette and I end up wasting it, and I don't like doing that. So we're going to see what we got here. Not looking for complete coverage. I would paint this down here, the threshold, but that is, I'm considering that steel, and it's going to be just painted black, or I'm going to rust it up later. You'd have a steel threshold in a man door such as that, quite possibly. So we're going to call that steel. Okay, kind of like that. So we're going to set this one aside. And we're going to go right to let's go with deep burgundy on this. And if you want, you can paint them solid. I'm looking for weathered paint, something that nobody's messed with for a long time. If they had, of course, they might have repainted the corrugated siding that's on here. They did not. So why would they go after the window and door frames, right? We'll give this another shake. And then we'll tackle this window. Don't want it all off your brush. You want it almost not a dry brushing, really, but you don't want so much that you get complete coverage, unless that's what you're going for. If you want complete coverage, you paint it and maybe a couple of coats to cover it all up, and that's strictly up to your desire. I highly recommend watching others work, other people like Jason Jensen and Foscale, Marklund of Sweden, any of the other hundreds of people out there who do modeling. They all have a technique they've all learned from others, and it does not hurt. This is how I learn new things all the time, watching other people's work and go, and I will try it, and if I like it, then I'll do it. If it doesn't work for me, I'll move on to something else. Never hurts. It's all about having fun. It's all about what effect you're looking for on your layout and your buildings. And that's the important thing. Just putting on a little and taking most of it back off the brush, and you hopefully get a satisfactory coating here. This is a bit time consuming with each individual piece here. I did not take off enough there. There we go. My wife's trying to be so quiet over there in the kitchen while she's making banana bread. Can't make a decent banana bread without being noisy. I'm sure she's going to give me the raspberry soon.
Keep that up, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I have my train room, she has her craft room, and I think 90% of the time she's here at the dining room table on the other side, and I'm here doing this. We have our separate rooms, but we always seem to be right here. This is the place to be. And all three dogs just wandered through, and she has their undivided attention with whatever it is she's doing over there.
I got nothing for you.
They think it's snack time.
You can't have any of this. It's not good for you, except banana, but we don't have any bananas to spare. Sorry.
Our dogs are spoiled. They get bananas, they get lettuce or spinach when the wife is making a salad or something, but they especially like their banana bones, we call them.
Well, here.
I knew she'd give in. They're getting a banana.
You don't try and steal her banana.
They're like children, our dogs.
Okay, that's all. Don't need no more.
Okay, I'm gonna call that fairly well. And you notice when I go to the darker color, I'm not rinsing the brush off. You don't really need to with that. If I were going to something lighter or a totally different color, of course I would clean the brush. But it doesn't do any harm to have it. Yeah, make sure, I don't know if I shook it up well enough the last time, but either way. This is, you can either dip in here or do what I do and dip in the lid. It's either one, but to put it in the palette a lot of times you'll end up wasting a lot of paint, and I do not like wasting paint. That's not, this doesn't cost a lot. These paints are 98 cents, $1.05 or something a piece. They're not that expensive, but why waste it, right? So I try not to, if I have something I'm going to be doing a rather lot of, I will go ahead and I will put some on the palette there, but I just can't see doing that. For this little bit of work that I'm doing here.
No, you're okay.
I am a rock.
You're okay.
Get down, get down. He's seen one of the neighbors outside, and he so desperately wants to go out there and play with the other dog, and that's not gonna happen.
You're okay.
I think I'm going to call that pretty good just the way it is. I could go with the wine color. I don't know if I really need to. I think once I dry brush this with some black over there, that would be probably plenty. So we're going to leave that alone. Now, dry brushing is something I'm still trying to get used to. I either get too much paint on the brush, or I don't get enough off, I should say, or I don't get enough on it to begin with. And it's a skill like any other. I need that brush here to dry, and I am going to go with, for this, I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to go with this stiff bristle brush right here. It's nice and big. I can get a lot of coverage on that. And we're going to start in an area that's not going to be seen. If I mess it up, it's not going to get seen. So, skip a little bit. Take most of it off. We got some Amarok got a little excited with the other dog over there and decided he wanted to bark. So now he has
Go. Go on.
a reason not to bark. You can see a couple places there where I got a little too much paint. Luckily this is the side of the building that, and it's going to have something here with the smokestack, so it's not going to be seen. You can also see how much paint I'm dabbing off the brush still, and I still manage to overdo it at times. It's a skill like any other that I have to master, just like anybody else will. And you're also going to have, near the closer to the bottom, one of the things I did after the last video, and I'll point it out now, is I had not done any rust down along here. This is of course where most of the rust would be, is right along the base here, where there's a foundation here, the water's hitting there and it's causing a lot of rust. So off camera I went ahead and rusted the bottom of this up and made it a little better. I hadn't, one of those things, it's just you don't think about it when you're doing it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I completely missed this. And the same thing with dirt. It's going to be a little more towards the bottom anyway, because the water hitting and it's running down. You're going to have a lot less dirt areas, dirty, and we're going to hit we want almost everything off of there. I think what I'm due, and again probably off camera because I just realized something else here, and this is something you'll as you go and you look at other buildings and where the rust is on them, something I missed is there should be some rust streaks coming from the bottom of this. Water getting in here underneath this trim and rusting these down. There should be some longer rust streaks under this window. I just realized that. I wasn't thinking about it when I did the last video. I was concentrating on the body of the work instead of some of the smaller details. So luckily, of course, I caught it, and that will be taken care of before I go and finish. And you just want a dry brush. It's just, and I think I'm going to end the cement dot for the door right here. So it'll come over here, it'll cover this up here, but here will be open, and there may be a stairway there. I did have, I don't know if you saw it in an earlier video, I had kind of a landing pad there. I wasn't happy with it, so I took it off. It didn't look right, and I thought, why would we have a whole separate area for, we could come right from the loading unloading dock on the main building and walk right in and check the furnace, or they could use stairs, and if they needed to move anything in and out. So, you know, I decided to go ahead and take that off and leave it. Again, down near where your at the building, there's going to be a cement pad here, and a lot of your rust and your dirt and is going to be caught right there. So that area should be rusty and dirtier than anything else. So if it looks a little darker, then that's fine. And there we have it. Put that in there and let it soak for a minute. And now it's time to add a window and a door. And I have to figure out what I'm using for a door. I have some balsa wood down there. It's kind of thick. I have some different cardboard. So I'm going to go ahead and find out what I need, what I want, and I'm going to get some plastic, and I'll show you that in a moment. Little break. I forgot I needed glue. And I went and got some thicker, this is a little thicker cardboard, and the way it looks on this side is kind of like maybe a steel door. So I cut a piece out right here. We're going to paint this up and make it look like the frame a bit. And then I cut a piece out, plastic, to go in here. Now I may go ahead and crack some panes of glass. If you can see what I did there, I made a couple of cuts right here, and that looks like the glass is cracked. And then I need to trim this down just a little bit more, which is fine. you can paint a few of these a white maybe to simulate maybe a piece of wood has been placed in there. You can knock out a whole entire pane if you want to. And I just realized that cut where I made that. I need to cut this off. It always helps to test fit things before you put them in. That way you know if they're going to get seen. But you could knock out a whole pane of glass in there, you know, and make it look any way you want. And if you're going to have it somewhere where you want it clean, you're going to want to make sure you've got this. As you can tell, it's not exactly, it's kind of scratched up in some spots. But this is a warehouse window, so we don't care. So I am going to paint this. While I was taking my break, my wife used her blender, so you don't have to worry about having the blender noises in the video. Get this clean. Put this to one side. I'm using gray paint to start with, make it look weathered, just like the door frame. You could have a metal door. This could be metal, it's just painted gray instead of black. Joe World, right? So, and I'm also sucking on a throat lozenge, so if this weather gets my throat a little scratchy at times. So now we're gonna air dry this real quick. There we are, and we are going to use burgundy again. Get this brush clean. One thing I have discovered is I tend to go through an awful lot of paper towels when I'm doing my painting. I don't buy very expensive paper towels just for that reason. Buy the cheapest ones you can get. You're only using it to dab paint, clean your brushes. Are you going to be putting something in the, oh, look at this, folks. Up a little bit there, dear. Yeah, that is banana bread about to go into the oven. Yay.
Chocolate.
Chocolate banana bread even, with chocolate chips in it. That's about to go into the oven. So, this is what comes with sharing the dining room table in the kitchen here, is sometimes you'll get to see what the lovely wife is in the middle of doing. Her being a very craft-oriented person, and she crochets and does jewelry working and bead working, and she's got probably a dozen different crafts and different craft bags throughout the house. And she does have her craft room, but 90% of the time we are both right here doing our thing. This is the upstairs on these old houses. This is a 100-year-old house. It was built in 1923, I believe. And so this is 2023. So this house is 100 years old. In these older houses, a lot of times they would have grates in the ceiling that would go through to the upstairs rooms, and you would open those or close them to get heat upstairs. And over the years of remodeling, they've covered those grates up. I don't even know where they are. Who knows? And they've put in different ceilings and everything. So the heat doesn't get up there very easily. It does get warm. We leave our bedroom door open during the day, the bathroom door's open. The spare bedroom and the craft room, on the other hand, we keep those closed to keep Shop Kitty and the Mouse Kitty out, because they will go in there and hide and we won't know they're in there. Those two rooms get kind of cold. So instead of my wife going up there and shivering, we do have an electric heater up there too, but it takes a while to warm things up. So instead of her going up there and shivering and being cold and miserable, she'll come down here and either be working on that side of the dining room table or in the living room. And if I go downstairs, I've got an electric heater in the basement as well. And I will kick that on if I'm doing something down there, so I'm not interfering with her. But most of the time we are in this general area. I am, when I'm not shooting a video for you guys, I'm doing other things down there. I will turn the heat on that I have, and I will sit next to that with it blowing on me. And I am quite comfortable. The lighting is better here for videos, and I have a way to spread out where, if you've seen my desk down there, it's a little harder to spread out than it is. And I am going to say that's good. We're going to call that, and I may put a door handle on it with some black paint and a small brush in a few. But I'm going to dry this and then we're going to place it and see what it looks like. I am going to call that a finished door. So we are going to take some tacky glue. I have probably a half a dozen different kinds of glue down there that'll work for a half a dozen different kinds of things. I do believe my neighbor's snow blowing. If you hear a noise in the background that is not my wife banging on pots and pans, it's my neighbor with his snowblower out. You don't need a lot of glue. In the case of glue, a lot of times less is definitely more. I don't need my reading glasses to fit this. I just need to make sure they are. Set something on that or hold it down in place for a minute or two till the glue takes hold. Waiting for glue and paint to dry it's almost maddening, or at least waiting for it to get tacky enough so that it's not coming off on you later. This can be one of the most frustrating parts of modeling right there, is waiting for this kind of stuff. That's why if you have a hair dryer, we have two of these. One is mine for down in the engine room, and the other is upstairs in the bathroom for when the wife needs to dry her hair in the winter before we go out in this mess so it's not freezing to her skull. Guess which one this is? It's not from the engine house. It was quicker to grab the one upstairs. So that's the, I stole her hairdryer for this video. Okay, I think that's gonna hold. And when that dries more, I will put a doorknob on it somewhere. I will paint a doorknob on there. So now let's get to the glass here. We need more of this tacky glue. I'm going to put some. The one thing I don't have here that I do have downstairs is my light. I can actually see what I'm doing a little easier. My wife and a flashlight. The other thing my wife is really handy about is having a flashlight in just about every pocket of everything she owns. We have flashlights. I swear my wife collects them. They do come in handy. So we're going to let this sit for a minute, and then I'll show you that. And then the only other thing left to do is to put on the roof. So we'll do that here in a little bit. Well, there's a few other things besides just the roof. There's going to be some rafters sticking out of here on the sides, and there'll be a piece of trim. I'm not picking this up. You're not going to be able to see it unless I move this way over here. There'll be a piece of trim on the outside edge here where the roof peaks. It'll be made out of cardboard. So that's the only real thing left to do, and I don't think I'm going to do that today because everything here has to set up. I don't want to put the roof on and then have a window or the door fall off, and then I'll have to rip the roof off and do it again. So we're going to let everything dry, and the next video, of course, I will show you putting the roof on. Now, a couple different ways we can do this. I can make more of the corrugated roofing and have a metal corrugated roof, or in the case what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to have just a tar paper roof with some strips holding the tar paper down. And I decided the reason for that is the main building is going to have a corrugated roof, and that's a lot of work. I used up I don't know how many pieces of those cup holder things, just cutting it for this, and I have a lot more, so I don't think I'm going to run out for the main building roof, but that is a huge roof. That's all going to be corrugated metal. This one, I think what's going to be is it's going to be on there, and it's going to be tar paper with some lumber holding it down. And is like they stripped the roof and they were going to put a new one on and never got around to it. So we're going to have that done the next video, and I have an idea for the foundation here on these three sides, and then this part of the building will be done. The other part I'm working on off camera. Once I get it to a point where I can move a little faster on it, then I'll be shooting video on that, so you'll see that one. I had actually started that building before I started Granny and Red's, before I even started thinking about shooting a video. So once I get that one to a certain point where I'm not dragging my heels on it, you'll see that one start coming to life. I'll show you how to make how I make the windows, but as far as making all of them on video, that's not going to happen. That's a very frustrating prospect. It's fun, but it's frustrating at the same time. So we're not going to. I'll show you how I do one, how I did the one for this, which will be the same I do for that, and I'll leave it at that, and the rest will get done off camera, and then of course I'll show you painting it, how I'm going to paint that. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. This one is just about ready to put aside and wait for me to get the main building done. The next video I will finish this one up for you, and then the next video will probably be from the presentation I give later this month. So you won't see this one getting finished until after that. Okay? Anyway, have a great day. Enjoy. Bye for now.